What up, though? This is your boy, Ronald Lee Jr.
And I am your co-host, Shai Speaks, and this is the Minding My Creative Business podcast. Let me make sure I say that right. The Minding My Creative Business podcast. That's exactly what we do. We say this is like the number one podcast. This is not like the number one podcast. This is the number one podcast for creative entrepreneurs to do what?
Strategy, structure, and self-development.
Yeah, you got to have all of those all at the same time to excel. When we say excel on this podcast, we're interviewing 6, 7, and even 8-figure creative entrepreneurs. A lot of times creatives think this is going to be my side hustle, but we know that you can get to 6, 7, and 8 with strategy, structure, and self-development. Now, speaking of strategy, we need to go ahead and get in there and talk about today's strategy. What are we talking about, Ron?
Hold on, before we go there,
Okay.
I think we got to address some things.
We got to address.
Because this is season 2.
Uh-huh.
And if you all notice, this is a different scenery, a different,
Yeah, I was just going to roll right past.
Yeah, just going to roll right past. No, we can't do that. We got to do our... We can't do the, what was that, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when they replaced Aunt Viv.
And just went on ahead.
Right,
like
just went on, yeah, everything was, we can't do that.
So we have to welcome, right, into the in studio version, because normally we're in our own home studios.
Exactly.
And now we are actually live and in person, so hopefully you guys feel more live with us. This is pretty cool.
It is, because you came, so hold on, so we're in Detroit right now, right? So that's where I'm housed. I'm housed in Detroit.
Yeah.
And you're in another D city. So y'all call y'all city the Big D.
Yes.
We just the D.
The D. So we are right here in Detroit. This is my first time being in Detroit too. So I was gonna really roll past like a big deal.
Yeah.
First time being in Detroit. First time doing the MMCB podcast in person, in studio. I actually liked the vibe and the atmosphere. And so I was so enjoying the vibe. I was ready to hop right into the conversation. So we did the whole first season in our separate. So this is cool to do this one right here. So, yeah.
So this is episode 1 for season 2 in person. Shai came all the way to Detroit from Dallas. And
all the way up here.
Yeah. So, we going to get it in. So we're going to get a couple episodes in person. We will be back in our normal settings, but we want to just bask in being in person for these few that we're going to do here.
We should record some at Dallas.
I think that'll be dope.
Mm-hmm. I done came all the way to the D. You got to come down to Big D.
Let's make it happen. We make it happen. Make it happen.
Okay. Right. So acknowledgments.
Yeah. So now that we've talked about that, let's talk about what we're here to talk about today, right? So as a creativepreneur, right, we know that one of the biggest things that, and even just regular entrepreneurship, but just in general, right, is funding your business, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of times creatives don't know where to go to get funding. So that's one of the things we want to talk about today. But today we want to talk about funding, right? Yes. As a creativepreneur, how do I go about funding my business venture, funding my business, my idea? So we want to kind of, give them some tips, some tools, and some strategies on how to do that.
Yeah. So I actually think this is really great. A lot of times I meet creatives and they're like, okay, how do I turn this into a full-fledged business? It's been a side hustle and I really want to do it like full time, but how do I get it to be there? And so a lot of times they're trying to spin their wheels on how to like just make more money or whatever, but it's like there is a such thing as just funding.
Exactly.
So I wanted to talk about that because when you're in an entrepreneurial space that's not necessarily creative, maybe a car sales a car lot, or maybe you're doing some type of tech or app, you realize that I have to do funding. Funding is, first of all, I would say the personal investment. Before we get into any of the other funding, we gotta stop right there. Definitely. Because you're trying to figure out how to make more money, or you're trying to figure out how to be full time, but you yourself haven't invested in it. Then how are we going to expect anybody else to help with investment? So what I was talking about was the tech apps or any other type of business that's not necessarily what you would say a creative based business. You would think that I have to get these fundings, and they also understand that they have to do a thing called bootstrapping.
Right.
In that regard, is being, but at the end of the day, it's really just being your first. You're making a personal investment into your own business so that you can actually do something more, right? So let's say I have this good side business. We make canoes, some custom hand woven wood fire canoes. This is a creative thing, and we want to take this thing to the next level. Well, we need to do some marketing, right? Well, in order to get the marketing done, if I feel like I could just sell more of these, I could be full time with this. I just need to make some more sales. Well, you might want to start with the first level of funding, and that is personal investment, aka bootstrapping.
Yeah. And I always tell my clients to where allow for your job to be your first investor, right? Because a lot of times they want to go into a full time, but like you said, that personal investment sometimes comes from you having to work a 9 to 5 or sometimes a 5 to 9. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to be willing to invest in yourself, like you stated, before somebody else is going to be willing to invest in you. And sometimes it's going to come from that job. So you might have to look at your personal finances and see, okay, how can I maneuver and position things so that I can take a portion of this and invest it in said business venture.
Right. Right. So going back to the example, maybe we're looking for an additional $3,000 or $5,000 in advertising.
Right.
Because if I can advertise to that regard, if I can spend $5,000 on advertising, my friend said he gonna give me the billboard, he gonna give me the digital marketing plan. I know for sure I could sell way more of these.
Right.
Well, where am I gonna get that $5,000 from? And I know when we said funding, a lot of people thought investors, right? And the crazy part is on our handy dandy notes. Investors is not even on here. So we about to give you some more tips, but the first investment, the only investment is the personal joint.
Got to. And even that with the personal investment, I know we have other ones we're going to get into, but sometimes even that personal investment is a lot of times, maybe that even be financial. And when we talk about in other episodes, we'll talk about that self-development, but you have to invest in yourself from a personal standpoint, yes, financially, but then also like information and things like that. Because once again, certain things you just don't know to do. That's why we have this beautiful podcast, is to inform you on what to do. But if you're not taking the time to listen into the podcast, reading information, investing in yourself on a personal standpoint, right?
The funds will not be there. That's so good. So now we getting in. We getting into the juice of the matter, because yes, your 9 to 5 could be a funding method, or you can pick up a 5 to 9 or some other side hustle to make this additional money. Or you can attend a class that's all about how to get funded. Or you can attend a class that's going to be some of the things that we're going to cover here with these other funding strategies that we're going to give. So that class in and of itself is not going to be the thing that give you the money, but it's going to give you the information to go out here and get the money, right? So that is so good.
Yeah.
A lot of times there's all type of enrichment programs that are happening in people's local cities, and they're not attending those things because you feel like you just need the hardcore cash. But no, you probably need to invest time into going to get information to learn the cash. Matter of fact, people who are in real estate, right? People who are in real estate, they realize that I need the money to get the first property. But what a lot of them, they attend seminars and where people will tell them how they're doing the flipping, or how they're doing the what they call it, wholesaling, and they'll go and get the information. The information is where I'm going to learn how to pull in those funds. So that's good that you touched those two pieces. And we haven't even got to the other ones.
No,
yet.
definitely. So we can go longer on that personal investment, but like you said, you mentioned something about locally, right? We're going to be able to go to different local events and whatnot, which leads us to our next point, is there are local grants. Right? If you go to your, in your city, your county, state, they have local funds that can go to you as a creativepreneur to fund projects, to fund even your business.
Right.
So having those grant opportunities, and listen, grants, that's money you ain't got to pay back, right? So they're giving you money to fund a project, well, you ain't got to give them that money back.
Right. So we already just gave you two funding ways that you don't have to pay back, because that's important too.
Yeah.
Personal investment, you invested it on your own. You don't owe nobody anything. And then grants, you don't owe anyone anything. Now, with grants, you do owe something.
Right.
There's a deliverable. So when we talk about on your city level, so in your city, let's just say you're an artist from the D, right? You're from Detroit. There are arts programs they are literally geared to help creatives do good things in the world, like whether it's activism or create more job opportunities. They do see creatives as small business owners, and so they have those. And I know a lot of people, I had to go back and reiterate that, because a lot of people don't even realize, like, That's the thing. Like I can apply for a $5,000 grant, a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Now you have to do an application.
Right.
So what you really want to do at that point is go look up, type in your city, find grants for arts programs or creative programs, and if what you're doing with your handcrafted canoe business or whatever, if what you're doing is actually it's some kind of way is serving the community, or it's going to create jobs, or it's going to do, they'll have their requirements. You fill out that application, and then, you know, it's probably going to be some other creatives in the community that are already tapping into this stuff. And then you in the pool, and they'll determine if you are awarded. Once you're awarded, you don't owe them back money.
Right.
You're going to take that money, and it's going to boost your business. You then take that money, you take the money, you boost your business, and what you owe them back is a deliverable.
Right.
What they want to see is that you were able to take that $10,000, that $15,000, and actually do something in the community. Maybe you're a muralist, and maybe out of all the money we gave you to do marketing, this and that and the third, you did at least one mural in the city. You know, so there are just some things that you have to do, or maybe report that. You have to report back, hey, this is what I did with the funds. I was able to build an email list of this many people, and now I'm letting them know about different things that are going on in Detroit or Charlotte or Chicago or New York, right? So there are some deliverables you have to give back, kind of like reporting back in on what you did with the funds.
Definitely.
That's it.
Definitely. So no, and you know, I'm familiar with that world by me being in the nonprofit world, right? So I'm familiar with getting grants. That's how we primarily fund it. And like you said, those deliverables. So I'm glad you addressed those deliverables. And they vary based on the project, based on the assignment, right? Based off what you put into that grant. A lot of times what you're going to do is you're going to put into that grant, okay, I'm requesting this money for this. So they put out what you call an RFP, right? Okay. That's a request for a proposal, right? So when you put out your request for proposal, everything you put in that proposal, if they accept it, then you have to do. So you want to have a list of all those deliverables and get you something like a deliverable tracker. You can get you a template in Google or anything like that and list out all those deliverables, because they're going to want to see that you are doing with the money what you said you was going to do with that money.
Exactly.
Right? So like you said, I'm not giving you the money back, but I am giving you something back.
Right. And that's usually they gave you the funds on the local level to enrich the local community, or they give you the funds on the state level that goes to something that boosts the overall economy in the state. So there's something there. So people always say, go with the grants, because that is free money. It's not necessarily just free in that regard, but it is free as in you owe nobody, and you only have to return back deliverables. You got to do some research. We already done gave you the juice. Can we keep going the other funding?
No, before we do, because like I said, we like to give them some practical things.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So you can look, once again, Google is your friend. So Google local, you have foundations. So I know here in Michigan, we have Kresge, we have Kellogg. There's an actual few others. I know one of our mutual friend, Mahogany Jones, she was a Kresge fellow. And I think they awarded her like $25,000, right, a few years back. So, yes, Google that. I just want to give you a couple of those because I know Kellogg and Kresge are too big, and they're not just local. Those are some national organizations as well. Right,
and that's good that you said that, because I did want to mention that. We talked about the local grants that are available. There are on the state level, but there are some that are on the national level that you can apply for, and it changes the game. You'll be surprised that you're wondering what's going on in your business that's different than other people. It's like they're prospering and flourishing. It's not because they're just making all the sales. It's because they had a good boost in income. Boom, $25,000. Boom, $10,000. And they were able to take that and enhance their creativity or enhance the backside of their business so that they can actually succeed and become that 6, 7, or even 8-figure business owner.
Correct.
National level.
Yeah.
I didn't know at first. I myself I've recently just got awarded a grant for my business, one of my businesses, right? And so it's a creative-based business. It's a festival business model. And I did the same thing. I applied, and once I applied through the application, didn't take me very long. It wasn't like a 3-day application. It's just a short application period, probably not even an hour. Right, I did the application. I did whatever else they needed me to do, emailed whoever, and we were awarded. Right, so boom, $25,000 that now goes into this other business so that we can kind of keep things going. Don't try to come knock on my door. It's grant money. Do not come for me. I'm telling you. Okay.
But no, and listen, and once again, that's huge, because once again, we don't know about these opportunities. Like, they're out there. That's why I tell people, listen, in the creative space, there's money out there.
And so the whole idea of a starving artist, there are grants that exist to try to obliterate that idea. I myself didn't know about these.
Yeah.
So I wish there was a Mind in My Creative Business podcast available, because I would have actually applied years ago had I known about these things. You know what I'm saying? So by the time I figured it out, I started applying. So we want you to do the same.
Definitely. All right, let's go to the next one.
All right, so that's pretty much enough on the grants. Go find out about your local, your state, or your national, and start applying. I'm telling you, it's going to change the game, and it's really going to boost your business. Let's get into this next funding option. We done already gave them two. Now, this third one is another one that is what we would say like free. You don't owe anybody anything.
Well, you owe them something.
You always owe somebody a little something, because we just said with the grants you owe deliverables.
Right.
But when it comes to this one is one of my favorite ones, and it is brand sponsorships. And we've seen over the past couple of years, we've been in what we would consider a creator economy. Exactly. So more people are becoming digital creators. More people are tapping into the creativity, period. And then they're developing business models out of it, right? And so as they develop business models out of it, they start getting followers. And once you have all these followers, it means you have an audience. And once you have an audience, the businesses want to get in front of your audience. So yes, you're a creator with these 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 followers, but there's other brands who also want to be in contact with those followers, right? So I want to break that down, because sometimes I think people who are creators are like, they're just trying to get their followers up for them, for themselves.
Right.
They're not trying to get not realizing that the people that you're growing is an audience that another brand probably wants to get in front of as well. So brand sponsorships. What are you going to say about that?
Well, no, listen. There's a gentleman that I follow online, and he focuses on brand sponsorships. He has a brand sponsorship with Zenni, and I wear Zenni glasses. So Zenni, if y'all out there, I need a sponsorship because I'm rocking y'all glasses. But so what they, like you said, what they'll do is they give you product, right, and pay you for it to get in front of your audience and for your audience. So that's just a phenomenal way to where you don't really have to do anything extra. I'm not telling you to partner with brands that you don't utilize, but if these are brands that you use, i.e. Zenni, right, it would behoove me to partner with a Zenni, right, because I'm already using it and put them in front of my audience. So where now I'm exposing them to an audience that they may not be exposed to where now they can increase revenue. They're paying me for said audience that I've already cultivated for me, right? I've cultivated them to follow me, to get information and to develop as a creativepreneur and things like that. So now it's like you said, we talked about this before, like B2B. So it's like you're doing business, B2B, business to other businesses. We're able to do business together.
Right. So this is not funding that you're getting because you're going to B2C, right? Mm-hmm. Business to consumer. I'm selling you, say, a canoe or whatever it is that you're selling. Mm-hmm. No, I'm partnering with the sticker company that you put on there. I'm partnering with the seat cushions that we put inside of there, or the floor matting, and we use the same stuff all the time. And my people who are into these canoes are like, oh, I like that flooring, or I like these cushions. Why not partner with the brand?
Exactly.
Right. So yes, I'm going to eventually sell it to a consumer, but I am going to talk to the businesses. Me and this business is going to come in partnership, and now that we're in partnership, they may actually offer me a sponsorship. And with this sponsorship, they're going to say, hey, for your next 10 canoes that you make and put that flooring in, we're going to give you those. We want you to show this, spotlight that, so that other people who are into it or want to upgrade their own or whatever can know it. And then also, we know that it takes you money to film this content. We know that it takes you time. So we're going to give you maybe a $15,000 sponsorship, so that now throughout the year we're paying you maybe $1,500 a month. So you're on a retainer. It feels like a retainer, but it's really a sponsorship. $1,500 a month, so that every month you're creating content that supports that brand, and it also is something that you're still serving your audience. So you're serving two audiences at once. And so now you have the product you need and you have the fun.
Exactly.
So yeah.
And a lot of times you don't have to do anything extra, right? Yeah. A lot of times it's things that you're already doing. So like I said, if you're already creating content for the sake of creating content, now you're creating it with a purpose, because, okay, cool, I would normally do this, and as I'm doing this, I'm just highlighting this product that I have a sponsorship deal with.
Right. That's it. That's
So,
all.
yeah.
I mean, it's really, really simple. So I wanted to start off by telling creatives to start thinking of their followers as just not a number count. Like
Right.
the people you're attracting and that you're serving with your content, that is an audience of people. They have interests, they have views, they have likes, desires, pain points. They fit a certain demographic, and whatever that demographic is, there's another business out there that's trying to
Right.
target them.
Now you
I'm telling you,
listen. I don't know if I need for y'all to listen to what she just said. Right. You are not just building your audience and in these people just to be building them. Right. Like there's demographic, there's psychographics, there's all these things that go into these people that go into building this audience to where there's other people that want access to them that you've already put time into growing based off of, like you said, those demographic and psychographics.
Yeah, they want to get in front. They want to get their product in front of that exact audience that you've already cultivated. That's basically what we're saying.
Exactly.
You're cultivating an audience. Who is that audience? What do they consist of? I guarantee you, if your brand is dialed in, your personal brand or your business brand or whatever, there's another business with a brand who also wants to get in front of that audience, and their product can serve them as well, right? So this is something I've experienced this as well recently, right? So my brand, as far as like not my festival business, but me as an artist, I would say my music is positivity and spiritual, it's inspirational, it's activism, it's all of those things. And there are people who want to get in front of an audience of people who are sponges for positivity, an audience of people who are predominantly probably in a person of color, like Black and brown community, people who are, I also talk about being kind of health conscious as well with a thing that I have called Free Lunch Fridays. Free Lunch Fridays, it's just me rapping, I'm sitting down eating some healthy cuisine because I want to slightly promote to people to pick healthy options, right? I do the Free Lunch Fridays, I put the food on there, and then the brands reach out to me and it's like, hey, we want to partner with you. Why? Because they realize I'm already cultivating. I have the attention of people.
Right.
They like her. And they're going to more likely to listen to whatever suggestion she's making about a healthy cuisine, right? So then let's say I'm making a healthy Beyond Meat, right? That's actually someone who became a sponsor of mine at one point, right? Wow. So I got a brand sponsorship with Beyond Meat because I simply talked about vegan and vegetarian options quite a bit on my platform. And so they're like, oh, we want to get in front of that audience. And so I'm not going to tell you the details of the brand sponsorship. Just know sponsorships are available and they're out there. I want to keep it. We'll be right back after these messages. You're now tuning in to the Minding My Creative Business podcast.
What's the irony?
It's because it's us in different color clothing. I mean, listen, we've been doing a lot of talking and we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to make a statement as well.
Because we've seen people make statements with their athletic apparel. We've even seen people make statements as entrepreneurs. But one thing I haven't seen is somebody make a statement as a creative entrepreneur. So what we have done is we have given you an opportunity to make a statement as a creative entrepreneur.
Okay. So if they want to make sure that they're rocking that creativepreneur gear, where can they go get that?
You can go get that gear from whatstheirony.com.
I want to keep it rolling on the funding. I hope you got it.
Right.
Get it, you got it, you good. Let's keep it moving.
All right. So next on our list are loans, right? Getting a business loan and business credit. Right. So that's why it's key as a creative is to have your business entity set up properly and structured properly, because there's opportunities for you to get funding via loans and build business credit.
Yeah. So many creatives that I know, especially, and they don't even have to be ones that's just getting started.
Right.
They bootstrapped from the beginning. They were like, oh, I already know that. I was my own first investor. Get to the good stuff, right? And so this is the good stuff because they stay in that bootstrapping mode.
Yeah.
They kind of keep fronting the money themselves all the time. I did that. I remember I had some big event, right? It was like a video release or something like that. And I was like, okay, I'll buy the building. I pay for the talent. I pay for all this. And then I recouped off the ticket sales.
Right.
That's cool. That's cool, but what would have been different had I had a business loan, or I could use some type of business credit. I wouldn't have had to tie up my own cash. That personal investment no longer has to continue to be made in that regard. So I take this same, maybe I fronted $5,000 to cover the entire event, hoping that I would make $10,000 after ticket sales and vendors and all the things that go into making that event, and then I'll make a profit. But I had to tie up my cash.
Right.
If I had a business loan that I had access to, I could have used the loan, fronted that, and then once I recoup, pay the loan back, and now I just walk away with the profit. Never had to touch my own cash, right? So we really want to encourage people to, first of all, like you said, see yourself as a real business and have real business structure, because real businesses can go into banks, put down their credentials, and walk away, not just with a regular bank account, but walk away with a business loan that you can use to fund certain endeavors when you're trying to float an endeavor and then recoup on the back end.
Exactly. Like, yeah, it's pretty much it's just using other people's money. You know what I'm saying? OPM, right? I want to use other people's money to fund what it is that I'm doing. Why use my own money, right? When I can get other people's money for pennies on the dollar. In some cases, right, they have no interest. Right, so if you are in Detroit, this is another gym. I'm plugging my people. Black Leaders Detroit. Black Leaders Detroit. They are giving 0% interest loans for Black businesses that operate in the city and benefit the city of Detroit.
How long?
So it's three years. So what they do is so listen. What? This past summer, I applied, right? I'm just like, well, why not? I apply, right? My business stuff is on point. So I applied. I got awarded $25,000. And that $25,000 I got to pay back in 3 years, but no interest.
No interest. So it's just really, I almost felt like a grant, because it's like, it's a grant with no like deliverables that I have to deliver. I just have to pay the money back.
Got to pay it back.
Interest, yeah, because then we think about loans. People are like, I don't want to be in debt and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but if you have a real business that's generating revenue and all that kind of stuff, you should be making the money back anyway. Pay that back. You don't have to touch your personal funds, and it's just really cool. But the part that they're afraid of is like the interest. Like, oh, man, I got a $10,000 loan, but now I have to pay $15,000, almost $20,000 back. Now that's not the type of loans that we're encouraging. We're talking about having your LLC right, having your business address right, having your phone number right. There's a couple things that you have to have right.
Definitely.
In order to get business credit and business loans. But once you get it and you can have 0% interest, that's that's like cash, right? So I was able to use the $25,000. Made money off of it, made interest off of it, and then I wound up paying it back. Like that's really cool.
And like you said, and we just been talking about the loans. We really didn't. I mean, we mentioned credit, but we didn't talk about credit.
Yeah.
So business credit is similar, right? To where, once again, make sure your entities and all that stuff is set up properly. But what you're going to do is you're going to go get these credit cards, right? And sometimes they got limits 5, 10, 20, 50, 75. You know what I'm saying? They have these limits on them, and once again, they're 0% for a certain amount of time.
Usually with the business credit, from what I've seen, is usually 0% for 1 year, which is why I asked them about the loan, because most of the time loans, you're going to get them, and it's probably a little bit easier to get them, but you're going to have interest.
Right.
You know, so 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, no interest. Come on.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's plenty of time to have. Did something for $5,000, recoup, got that money back. Did another something for $10,000, and so I want to talk about the difference there. So not just how long you have the 0% interest in the credit world versus the loans, but what is the difference between a business loan and business credit, right? What is the difference? So he just said that with business credit, you're going to be getting a business credit card, right? So you can do all your transactions on the card, and just like you will with the personal, you want to make sure you're paying it off at the end of the month. But the cool thing about these business credit cards is that there's like point systems that's attached to it. You can get so many points just for your spending. I'll give a personal example. So I wound up getting awarded some business credit, and a lot of times when I travel, I'm traveling as an artist, and they pay for my flight, my hotel, and all that. But then there are other times where it's like, hey, can we pay you a flat rate, all inclusive? And that means I got to pay for my own travel. Well, if I had to pay for my own travel, and this is for business, I haven't really got paid from this gig yet besides a deposit.
Right.
I've gotten a deposit, so I could take that entire deposit and then go pay for my travel for me and my team, or I can just use my business credit card, pay for the flights, pay for the hotels, get 4 points. It's like 4 points for every dollar. I'm getting all these points off of this. I'm never having to touch my personal. I don't even have to use the deposit just yet. I'm able to do it as soon as when I finally do the gig and I finally get paid the final balance. I can then pay the travel off right there. But I never had to touch my money. So that right there has like changed the game for me of being able to use a business credit card, and then you rack up all the points. We got to talk about these points real quick before we move on to the next. We have one more, and this is a very important one, but I want to talk about why the points matter. When you use your debit card, you just spend $1, and then there are no rewards to that. When you spend a credit card, a business credit card, and you're getting 4 points per dollar, what's happening is you're able to rack up, like, let's say you spend $2,000 on your travel. That's 8,000 points, right? You do it again for another travel. That's another 8,000 points. Most of the time, you can get a hotel or a flight on points for like 16,000 points, 20,000 points. So you're racking up almost free trips every time you're just spending your card. You're doing regular business. Mm-hmm. Just regular. You're handling your regular business endeavors, whether it's meals, transportation, all that kind of stuff, and you're getting all these points. I literally have done it myself. Yeah. I racked up so many points simply from just traveling. I was going to have to travel anyway. Mm-hmm. And then I realized, like, oh, I can get a whole flight for free. One day, I went on there, I booked a flight for a personal reason. And I didn't have to pay no cash. Why? Because my business had accrued so many points. I don't know if they picked it. I don't know.
Listen, somebody told me that they were able to fund their entire marketing department just from their reward points. So, because you got some people they give you cash back, right? Mm-hmm. So they give you cash rewards. So they were able to, because they're using their credit card for all their business expenses. They're not using their personal money or their business money. They're using credit. Mm-hmm. So as a result of me using this credit, I'm building up these points. I'm getting this cash reward back, and they were able to fund somebody to do their marketing
just off points. So just off points. Because I'm just saying, it's so easy to rack up points when you're getting that many. So that's the thing about the business credit side. I'm not saying it's not like that on the personal side. They have points and stuff like that, but they really, really reward you on that. So you really want to do your due diligence to make sure your business is structured properly, has a proper foundation, so that you qualify for this business credit. I'm telling you, that business credit, it changes the game. Points. So the points can be redeemed for flights, they can be redeemed for hotels, or again, you can cash out and get the cash, take the cash and buy whatever you want to buy. But most people, I've heard somebody say, man, they run their advertising on there. Yep. When they run their advertising, they spend $5,000 in advertising in a month. Right. Times 4, that's 20,000 points. But they were gonna have to advertise anyway. Yeah, so now you got 20,000 points. They did it again the next month. That's another 20,000 points. They did it again the next month. Now you next thing you know, you have 100,000 points. You know what you can do with 100,000 points? You can go. You and your family going on like little 3-day vacations, or you take that money, you cash out and you pay for marketing. You cash out and you pay salary. Like there's so many things that can happen. So when we think about funding our business, we were talking earlier about a canoe example, and I said, man, I need $5,000, and so you had to get a job or you did a 9-to-5. But no, in this case, I did what I need to do with my foundation. I now have $5,000 in credit. I can go run advertisement on that digital billboard that I mentioned and all the ads and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. You can go get all that done without having to use your money, make the revenue back, rack up the points. I'm telling you, this is some good stuff. Yeah. That's how you get funded. Let's talk about the last one.
The last one. So out of all these things, right, you want to make sure that you have a revenue strategy.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, you need a revenue strategy. And what I do with a lot of my clients is I help them identify, okay, based off your skill set, based off your passion, and then based off of needs that you can identify, right? What are some things that you can provide to your audience, to your target market, right? So you go down that list and you start to see, okay, cool. Let's use an artist as an example, right? So a lot of artists, they'll start with, streaming, because that's what's popular. That's what they know.
Music artist.
Right, music artists, recording artists, right? So they start with streaming, right? So streaming, that's one way, but we know that's a marathon, right? That ain't no sprint. Like we just saw, what was that? Snoop said he had a million streams, or a billion streams, only made $40,000. So that's not that's a lot of streams for a little money, right? But we know that's a part. So we got streaming, but then depending on your audience, depending on your niche, they may want a physical product from you. They may want, I know somebody just put out a cassette tape, right? Now I ain't seen cassette tapes in years, right? But they just did a cassette tape because their audience wants it. So, and because that's so niche, now they can charge a premium for that. Like that's not like something that you would charge $10, $20 for. They charge $100 for that cassette tape, right? So they do cassettes, and somebody may want vinyl. Somebody may want CDs. So you identify what your audience wants because they're going to tell you what they want, right? So you identify what they want. So, okay, cool. We got it on streaming platforms, but we know our people want a physical product. So we're going to give them a hard copy, right? Then we want merchandise, right? We take our song lyrics and print them on T-shirts. So we sell T-shirts because our audience wants that, right? So that's another way to generate revenue. We performing live, right? We doing shows, and then because of this market, this is an untapped market. I was telling the client years ago, I'm like, because everybody doing stuff virtually online, start doing virtual concerts. Still do the in-person concerts, do some virtual concerts.
Private stuff, some virtual stuff that just a group of people can tap in, and they just like, hey, it's gonna be exclusive. Y'all can make song requests. That's a whole nother thing.
Exactly.
And then boom.
Because it's private, it's exclusive. This ain't for everybody. This only for some people. And because it's exclusive, then you can charge a premium.
Right. Okay, so he just talked about having a product diversification as a revenue strategy. But there's also, when we say like having a revenue strategy, don't just think that I'm gonna go out here, I'm gonna just keep putting my own money into it with no plan on how to recoup the money. Or I'm gonna do some loans with no plan on how you're gonna make that $10,000 back that you just spent in business credit. Like that's not wise. You need to have a plan on how I'm going to make this money. If I do this advertisement, that's going to get me in front of 100,000 people. Out of 100,000 people, I only need 10% of those people to buy this product, which is what, 10,000 people. If 10,000 people buy my product and I'm only charging $5 for this product, now that's 10,000 times 5. I know I can make $50,000. I spent $5 on the advertisement. I made $50,000. That's just mad. But just have a strategy in place on what am I gonna do to generate revenue. Like at the end of the day, I need to figure out. And you talked about diversifying your product thing. I know that you had a client one time, wasn't like a makeup artist or something like that. Makeup artists are creative entrepreneurs. And so I had a friend of mine who's a makeup artist. Obviously, she does the makeup herself, but I was telling her she can also offer like a little package. She noticed that she was specializing in people who had like some skin conditions and stuff like that. So she would teach them how to wash their skin and get everything. And so it's like, well, why not make a little bundle? Every time they come to you, pay for makeup, they're also going to get the stuff to wash it off and then the regimen to keep up for the next couple of days so they can have that clean and clear skin. And so you're solving another problem for them. So now she just that's increasing her revenue strategy. You're already going to book clients to do makeup.
Exactly.
Now I'm adding I'm attaching another service or a product onto it, and that's going to increase my revenue. Right, so let's say she's charging $100 for face. Now you say, hey, it's $150 to get the wash pack, the 7-day, whatever. And so now she can think, I normally do 10 people in a weekend. Right, you're making $1,000. But if I add that $50 to it, right, then that boom, 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 I just added another $500. So have a strategy on how you're going to generate revenue.
No, that's that upcharge right there. And there's so many things you can add to that strategy, like the upcharge, especially, and I tell people, focus on people that's already spent money with you, right? A lot of times we're looking for new customers and new clients, but if somebody's already spent money with you, they're willing to spend money with you again. So find other ways, right, to make this a part of your strategy. Find other ways where they can continue to spend money. Like you just said, it's like, okay, you just come to me for your face beat, but I got this package, right? Not only do I have a package, but I could think of something else. Maybe I'll give you a home tutorial so you can do it on your own.
Exactly.
Right. So now you start thinking of ways to where, but like you said, but that's key, because especially if you're doing loans, right? Loans and credit, you got to pay that stuff back.
You got to pay it back.
And if you don't have a revenue generating strategy, then you're going to put yourself in trouble. And we don't want y'all getting in trouble.
We don't want you in
trouble.
Hear me?
We don't want you in trouble.
All.
So you want that strategy in place even before you even that. Listen, when it comes to loans, for the most part, they're going to want to ask you for a revenue generating strategy a lot of times. Not everybody, but some people are going to ask you for that.
Right. And that's the difference in that was one thing I didn't mention. A loan, you take that $5,000 out and you're going to start paying a monthly payment on it anyway.
Exactly.
Versus business credit is more like a credit card. So since you already know every month I'm finna have to start paying back, you might want to have a strategy. And what we talked about it sounds like we're just talking about products and adding services. No, we're talking about that's funding because I just said if she's doing 10 people in the weekend times $50 extra, that's $500. So that's how she just came up with $500 more in funding. Let's say she's trying to do something. Maybe she wants to add a new teammate, or maybe she wants to get some more product. She's gonna need funds, but she had to figure out where to get the funds.
Exactly.
How do I get the funds? I diversify my product offering, or I extend my services and things like that. But that's a way to get that funding. I hope that's sinking in.
Definitely.
But so far, we have already talked about 5 different funding strategies for creative entrepreneurs. So you have personal investment, you have grants, you have brand sponsorships, you have business loans and business credit, which is really too, but we just gonna let y'all make it. We're not trying to give ourselves extra credit.
Right.
And then, of course, the last one is to sit down and have a real revenue strategy. And sometimes, if you need a boost in income, I just need $10,000 more dollars. I need $5,000 more dollars. You may not need to go get a loan or go get a grant. You may just need to look at how you're bringing in revenue, and you can find some way to increase your funds that way.
Yes, man.
That's good, bro.
That's good. No, this is good. This is good. So
listen,
we gonna wrap up on this episode, right? I don't know about y'all. I know I got some gems and some jewels, right?
I got some stuff that I want to do. Again, I definitely need to get back active on applying for some of those grants and things like that. But listen, if this was helpful for you, you enjoyed this content, we do want you to please leave a review. I know it's gonna take. You could just say dope episode. You could just say something simple, good gems. I'm just saying, just do something because it's gonna help the podcast. It's gonna boost it up in the algorithm so other people, other creative entrepreneurs like yourself will see it. And then also, we want to tell them, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like the video. It don't take nothing to just a second just to hit like.
Subscribe.
Boom.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, right?
Also, we want you to join our Creative Corner community, right? So it's a monthly newsletter as well as a Facebook community where you'll be surrounded by other creativepreneurs like yourself, like me and Shai, that will be there to encourage you, but you'll also get some more tips and things like that to assist you along in your journey. So we encourage you, go to mmcbpodcast.com, and once again, you can be a part of that Creators Corner community. So please join the community.
I'm just saying, he made it sound real smooth. It's a community. It's a group, and as well, it's a newsletter. That newsletter is giving you those tips you need, that motivation you need, and so forth and so on. It's some really, 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 really insightful content in there. So Creatives Corner, mmcbpodcast.com. Now, we talking about creative entrepreneurs. I want to tell y'all we appreciate you for sticking around the entire episode, listening to all these funding strategies. If any of these things helped, or you want to apply one of them, which one you going to do next? Drop a comment somewhere. Let us know what you're doing so we can know that this stuff is helpful.
Yeah. And on that note, Shai, we gotta do the mantra to take them out.
Oh, we gotta do the mantra. So normally when we're in our in-home studios, we let people know this mantra, and I could read it off of the screen, but ain't no screen. So let's see if I really have it.
Let's see if you got it.
Here's what we want you to do. We want you to repeat after us before we get out of here. All it takes is strategy, structure, and laser focus to mind my creative business.
There you go.
So all it takes is strategy, structure, and laser focus
to
mind my creative business.
Peace.